What's going on, you guys? This is Trent here at Rexburg Motorsports, here to do another machine overview with you guys. Now, I'll tell you, for 2021, there is not a single dirt bike that won more 450 shootouts than the KX450. This is an awesome machine, and this is what we're going to talk about today. I want to show you what makes this KX450 something special and something that could take your riding to the next level. Kawasaki has an awesome bike on their hands with this KX450. So many strong points to go over with this machine, and I cannot wait to dig into this with you. Now, I'll tell you, Kawasaki did bring this bike out in 2019, and since 2019, it saw very little revisions for 2020. They changed the graphics. And then for 2022, they changed some clutch parts, and it made a huge difference just with the clutch parts. I can't wait to get into this machine with you. It is an awesome one. Let's dig into this thing. All right, so we've got to talk about Kawasaki's awesome chassis that they've got for this KX450. Kawasaki brought this chassis out in 2019, and ever since it came out, it has been a winner. Kawasaki has got it down when it comes to making an aluminum frame feel compliant on a bumpy and rough track. This right here is the aluminum frame that all other aluminum frames are judged by when it comes to ride comfort. If you read any motocross magazine, they all talk about how good this frame is. It's very, very compliant, even when compared to the steel frames of the Austrian bikes. Now, it's not quite up to the steel frame. You know, it's very hard to make an aluminum frame feel as compliant as the steel frame, but this is far more compliant than the other aluminum frames out there. Now, when it does come to this chassis, Kawasaki also really figured out how to get their weight biases perfect and how to get their steering geometry numbers perfect to make sure that this is giving you all the good feelings when you're out on that rough track or in those fast sections. Now let's talk about that for a bit. Kawasaki's got the frame geometry down pat to where this is a very, very stable feeling frame. It's not super crazy when it comes to cutting really tight corners. It's not as on the cutting edge as far as sharp handling when compared to, say, the Honda or the Suzuki. But this is a very, very stable platform, allowing you to feel that confidence coming when you're in the rough sections or when you're in that high-speed section, to want to keep the throttle on longer because the bike's not dancing around or giving you a head shake. There's nothing scarier on a rougher track when you're going down a big hill or when you're hot on the gas and your bars start swapping side to side. Kawasaki has got that figured out so that does not happen. Now, when it comes to the weight biases and stuff like that, Kawasaki's of old, pre-16 and on especially, they were known to be very top-heavy. The Kawasaki's of old, you'd throw into a corner, when you laid down it to cut a good line, it would want to stand up on you. It didn't want to stay down so you could cut a good arc. It wanted to always stand up and wanted to be steered with the rear tire. Now, in 2016, when that frame came out, they took an awesome step forward to make sure that it didn't feel like that. But for 2019 and newer, this frame is awesome with that. It is way happy to lay down and hold whatever angle you're needing to make sure that you can cut those ruts just perfectly. So Kawasaki's really got it figured out when it comes to the frames on these KX450s. This is an awesome, awesome bike. Again, if you haven't had a chance to ride a KX450 from 2019 or newer, and you're missing out. It is an awesome feeling bike. Now, another cool thing that I love about this generation of Kawasaki is how thin this bike is. This is an awesome feeling chassis. Again, when you've got such a compliant frame, the next thing on that list of puzzle pieces that you've got to have is a good feeling cockpit. Now, Kawasaki has a lot of adjustability when it comes to the riding ergonomics of this bike to really complement that frame. Now, Kawasaki is the only one that's got adjustable foot peg mounts. They come in the upper hole, but you can drop them down and they lower this foot peg. So if you're a really long-legged rider or tall guy, you can drop these down to give you a little bit more rider comfort, opening up that rider triangle a little bit to give you a little bit more leg room. Now Kawasaki, with these bar mounts, you've got 2 different positions on the top triple clamp to bring your bar mounts, and then the bar mounts themselves are also off center so that you can turn them around either direction to really make sure that you can get the bars exactly where you want them to keep you comfortable. But with this nice thin ergonomics, one thing that I love that Kawasaki does, and I wish the other brands would kind of jump on suit, is Kawasaki, if you look straight down on their radiators, they move them forward. They tilt their radiators, and so that allows them to even skinny up the front end even more. It's a very cool design and something that Kawasaki has really figured out how to make a riding area feel perfect to make sure that you're, again, comfortable and confident on the track. Now, when it comes to suspension, Showa is taking care of the Kawasaki 450. They've got a 49 millimeter A-kit copy fork that they've had for the last several years, and this is a great feeling fork on this Kawasaki 450. Now, if you are a heavier set rider or a very fast rider, they are going to be too soft for you. You're going to want to swap out the springs. Now, that being said, for the mass majority of riders, these forks are on the money. David Pingree, he's a fast guy, he's a short guy, he's a small guy. He loves this fork. He feels like this is the next closest thing to any works fork that he's ever ridden. He loves this fork. If you want to get some good setup information, he's a great one to look at. He works for Vital now, but he's talked a lot about how good this fork is for him. This is a very good fork, and it is known to really keep that track chop and those hard jarring hits from getting to your hands. This is a good fork. Now, when it comes to the shock, again, you've got a Showa shock on here. It's an excellent shock right out of the box, and one that you won't really have to touch the clickers on. You'll set your sag, and you'll go. This is a great suspension setup on this KX450. Now, when it comes to a motor package for this KX450, this was, again, an all-new design that came out for 2019. Since 2019, they haven't made much in way of motor changes, but they did make a pretty cool change to the clutch that we'll talk about here in a second. But for this power plant, for 2019 and on, the focus was making this thing a manageable 450. They didn't want to give up the horsepower gain. They didn't want to give up that awesome excitement that Kawasaki was known for, but they did want to broaden that. And they wanted to make it so it was manageable, so you could stay aggressive even when you're tired, and stay aggressive even when the track is slick or rough. And this is going to be an awesome motor package. Now, Kawasaki, when it does come to dyno numbers, this does have a little bit more power than the Suzuki, but a little bit less than everything else. But don't let that deter you. This is an excellent power plant. It's got a great power spread that really, it gives you that little bit of excitement down low while still staying manageable. And then the mid and top is very seamless. It gives you that ability to really twist that throttle hard like you would, say, on a 250F and not get overly tired or feel like your arms are getting ripped out of the sockets. This is a great motor package. So another cool thing that Kawasaki has is with right here, they have got their mapping plugs. Now with this mapping plug on this KX450, what you can do is you can change between 3 different mapping plugs to make this awesome Kawasaki motor feel exactly how you want to. They've got a mellow, a standard, and an aggressive plug, and you can swap them out nice and easy, giving you the ability to really tailor this power just how you want your KX to feel. Now, the big change that Kawasaki made with their clutch system that I talked about just a second ago was, so 2019, Kawasaki went to hydraulic clutch. It was a great feeling clutch, but it did have a tendency to drag a little bit. It didn't fully disengage when you pulled the clutch in, and so that you would constantly be kind of creeping a little bit. It didn't fully disengage. It felt great. The lever felt great. The pull is good. And it's consistent, which is awesome when you go to hydraulics. But the thing that they did to make this even better for 2021 was for 2021, they got rid of the individual clutch springs on their clutch basket, and they went to a beveled washer, kind of like what KTM, Husqvarna, and Gas have right now, and what they've been running for a long time. So what this does is this is a cupped washer, and as you pull in the clutch, that cut washer is flattened, and it wants to constantly spring back, and so that's how you're getting that spring tension on this clutch pack. Now that one change made this clutch feel so much better. It disengages better. It engages better. It doesn't burn through clutch plates as fast. This was an excellent addition to this clutch, giving Kawasaki a very, very strong clutch when it comes to the other bikes in this category. Now, this was a great, great motor. Again, we talked about that a little bit more on how it was so broad and how it really gives you that confidence to be able to go strong. And that new clutch mod is an excellent step in making sure that you've got the confidence to tackle the race ahead. Kawasaki has a winner on their hands with this KX450. Excellent frame, excellent suspension, excellent motor. Man, a great hydraulic clutch, good brakes. This thing is ready to go. Come on in here to Rexburg Motorsports. We would love to answer any other questions you might have about the KX450 and get you out on the dirt this season on your own KX. Come on in here to Rexburg Motorsports, and if you would, consider hitting that subscribe button. We'd love to keep you up to date with all the videos that we've got coming out here for Rexburg Motorsports. And also, it's always awesome to know that you guys are appreciating what we're doing with these videos. But again, thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.